Welcome to the wide world of esports, a show devoted to all things esports. I'm your host, Katharine Nohr. Today, we're talking about Esports Academics. My guest is George Cork, an esports instructor at Mount Royal University in Canada, but is joining us from London. Welcome, George.
Hello, how are you?
Fantastic, thank you. So, George, what made you interested in esports academics?
So really the whole meaning behind esports academics is trying to benefit the younger generation and also utilize multiple games for an educational benefit. So all games are one, they're just enjoyable. And two, a lot of games have a way of which they can teach various elements of education, so business, mathematics, engineering, and it's utilizing those in a way and facilitating the esports industry to help individuals get a better grasp not only of the esports industry but also being able to transfer those skills into the real world, whether it be teamwork, communication, um, also leadership.
So, George, what are you a gamer and what led you to this?
Yeah, so I've been, let's say I've had the full cycle to a certain extent. So at a very young age, I used to compete professionally here in Europe. And then after that, I went into coaching teams here in Europe, mainly in the FPS genre, as it's known in esports, coaching a professional team here in Europe. Then I really aimed to go down the talent acquisition route. So I've worked a lot with content creators and doing a lot of talent scouting for organizations, being involved in negotiations, going to events, sorting out logistics. So a whole wide range of that. And then also I really built on from that as well from owning my own esports organization. So I worked with a lot of teams in North America. I've worked with North American companies mainly for about the last 7 to 8 years. So I would say I'm more of a North American person than a European right now, purely just due to my involvement there. And it's really helped me gain a better grasp of everything. And everything I've learned is purely self-taught. So I had no previous business experience at all. Everything I've learned is through the use of esports and making sure I basically immersed myself in the industry from the get-go.
So you have demonstrated your ability to take career pathways, and that's kind of what the interest is here. So what are career pathways?
Yeah, so career pathways. I think there's if we go to esports related professions image, it's very much different ways in which you can actually get a career for esports. So esports, from face value, from a lot of individuals, whether it's administration or also from individuals who are interested in esports, only see it as individuals that really sit behind a computer screen or a console and play games for 7 to 8 hours a day. Yes, that is an element of the industry, which we all know, but it's not the full aspect and the full range of careers that are really available in the industry. So there's a wonderful image which is utilized and spread around the esports industry that really showcases the different career pathways that are available in different areas. So education, business, administration, legal, events organization, TV, educated, well, technology as well, and also performance optimization. So it's really trying to work with administration to have a thorough understanding on what's available for esports and that a career is also available. So
Okay,
whenever we work with institutions, we showcase them that capability. But also, it's very important that in the US alone, there's over 150 different scholarship programs purely for esports. So it's about obviously making them aware of those capabilities and the actual pathway available after K through 12.
okay, so let's pull up esports related professions, the image. If and it's okay, so when you were talking about the image, this is what you were talking about, I think. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So this is the very inside cluster, to a certain extent, of the career, well, the different verticals available for esports.
okay. So why don't you explain um, the more focused version of the inside piece?
So the inside piece, this is one. So I'm not going to take credit for this. It'd be wonderful if I made this myself, but I didn't. This is something which goes around the esports industry, and on the inside, basically on the inside, it's to really showcase different avenues and pathways in which you can go that are already, let's say, very established industries in the world right now. So you have tournament organization there, you have health, you have business, you have administration, and it's really about understanding what those different verticals are available through the use of the industry. And it's about understanding and showcasing, okay, yes, there is a there's the gaming aspect, and two, there's a bigger picture here than what's really being, let's say, shown to the rest of the world. Because there's also there's the stereotype behind gamers, which we work to break down over a duration of time that we work with them.
Okay. So, and then let's show again the image of the whole image. Okay. So this extends really far. What are the kind of things, I know we can't really read them, but
Yeah.
what is here that we can't see and understand, so the audience understands?
Yeah, no, that's completely fine. So there's, for example, in performance optimization, there's now psychologists that are part of teams to help with the mental well-being of individuals. Careers and burnout is a very key element of esports. So it's about making sure you get that exact measure or balance in theory. And then there's nutritionists, so being able to obviously have a well-balanced diet is very important. And then in terms of the actual management area, you have executive officers, team managers for your different teams that you may have. So, for example, Counter-Strike, League of Legends, and so on. You'll normally have a director of esports or a general manager that will normally deal with that as well. And then I'll try and pick a few from all various different areas. So education, completely the polar opposite. So that's within the realm of instructors and teachers, researchers as well, because there's not a lot of research really that's been completed that really showcases what the benefit of esports within education is, but also about different elements of esports. So the effect of a well-balanced diet in terms of players, and different strategies and how they work, and researchers, and being able to collect that data and utilize it for a team's benefit. And then in broadcasting, you have broadcast engineers and sound engineers, network technicians, security engineers. That is all about, for example, one, what we're doing right now, we're live streaming. And also two, in terms of events as well, where these events are showcased to millions around the world. So it's about making sure you have a strong infrastructure for that, understanding of how everything works, way in which you different ways into how you're going to distribute that, schedules, everything in terms of that. And then games and support. So you've got game developers, animation, a lot of them are actually based, a lot of main companies are based in California. So we're currently working and talking with a few in California. And it's really about showcasing this availability to the market and how it integrates into other careers, but also really, actually, as we're calling it, setting up that pipeline. So I was on a call the other day, and it's very much the case of the pipeline is being built, or the ship is being built as we're sailing, to a certain extent. That it's kind of been done in, let's say, a top-down method, where esports has been sorted out from the professional level, and then it's kind of filtered its way down into every other way. Whereas in a traditional sports system, it would normally be, you'll go grassroots first, and you build up from the grassroots and then into the professional level as well. So it's kind of building that, but the reverse way.
Right. So your company, Esports Academics, what do you actually do with that company?
Yeah, so pretty much what we do as a company is we work with institutions around the globe. So North America, Latin America, Europe, Africa, Middle East. And we kind of aim to bring that global perspective to esports. As we all know, esports is a worldwide industry. Every region's a bit different. So we aim to work with those regions to, one, for those individuals to understand the market there, and also so that we can really, let's say, get the grasp of the industry elsewhere, so that individuals that are now coming through in the next generation have the ability to understand through another region, being able to be very, let's say, versatile, and being able to adapt into a certain situation, whether it's your region or not, is a very key skill moving forward. So we want to make sure that we allow for those to network on an international level, but also gain the experience needed from a global perspective as well.
Sure. And so let's pull up one of the images, the business management and administration image. Okay, so tell us what this is about.
So yeah, so a bit about what the way in which we go through when we're developing our curriculum. Our curriculum, in terms of for the US market, is very much aligned with something which is called CTE, which is Career Technical Education, which is really there's different clusters within, or that the government have set, that we align our curriculum with. So within that diagram, it's kind of showcasing how that career pathway integrates into that cluster, and also what the careers are, or the career opportunities that are available through that cluster that you could potentially take. So we have 20 different modules or curriculum pieces, and I think it's 25 different workshops that we offer through our partners, that one, delve deeper into different career opportunities within the various different inside circle or bracket that we've shown, but also the career opportunities and really understanding different elements. So shoutcasting, video production, entrepreneurship, and really letting individuals learn and facilitate the learning of individuals through the use of the esports industry, which is, as majority of us will know, is an element in which the younger demographic engage with a lot more.
Sure. Okay. And let's just bring up another one. Marketing is a very popular area. So, and what does this one show us?
So it's very much the same in terms of what this is all built into a one pager, and it's to try and showcase the various different elements in the curriculum that's already being offered within traditional education that you can tap into through esports, which one, helps administration understand, which is the key thing right now. A lot of administration do not understand the benefit for esports because there's the stereotype and there's the certain understanding of it. So it's one about slowly breaking it down so that they can understand the benefits of the industry, what it has to offer, and how it actually integrates into the curriculum already, which they may not be aware of.
Okay. So, what, where do you see the future of esports in education?
Yeah. So the way in which I see the future of esports education is one of really the development of curriculum. So there's two pieces for esports and education. There's an esports program, which a lot of universities have started to build out and high schools have started to build out. And then there's the curriculum / academic piece. And the program piece has absolutely rocketed in terms of collegiate market and where it is now. The academic piece has been completely left behind. So I'm thinking in terms of esports and education in the future, we'll start to see a lot more academic programs, but the key thing is making sure that the individuals working on those academic programs actually have the backing of esports. Because what's said around esports all the time is authenticity. Authenticity, sorry. We are very well, let's say, known in the esports industry for spotting anything that's not authentic and it, in theory, just going up in flames. So it's very important that if you're going to go down that route, one, you in theory, you make the decision early. Okay, are you going to go 50-50 here? Or are you going to go 100% in terms of the full 9 yards, as we call it? Because then that one, obviously it helps separate you from the rest, but then you also have a plan in mind of where you're going, where you want to see sports go within your institution and the benefit of it. So the idea is really being able to feed the industry and feed the all multiple industries, not only esports, and allow for that cycle to continuously happen and really provide a benefit within that whole pipeline and creating that pipeline from high school to college and then to career. And also, if they don't want to actually go that route, because college is not right for everyone. So there is always another path. And it's really just making sure that individuals are aware of that path and the understanding and the potential work in which they'll have to do to get there.
You know, I do hear the word authenticity a lot in relation to esports. And what do you think the key to authenticity is? I mean, I know that one of the things that is considered non-authentic is if there's a sense of people just in it to make money and they're not into the culture. Um, is there a career pathway to authenticity, or like what how does someone become authentic in this space?
I think it's really getting an understanding and grasp for the industry. So pretty much everything I've done has been volunteer, apart from now. So I've worked in esports for around 8 to 10 years. All of it for around 9 has been volunteer and just purely wanting to gain experience. And it's very much right now, I would say, esports is in the bubble phase in terms of there's been a lot of overvaluation for esports organizations and investment. And right now we're in that bubble phase of where the bubble is going to pop, but when is it going to pop? And something which I saw, and also in terms of franchise leagues, something which Gary Vaynerchuk said, I think a few weeks ago on an interview is he was asked about the ROI for CDL, which is the Call of Duty League. And he said, all you've got to do now is survive. Esports hasn't had the explosion yet. As soon as it has the explosion is when the ROI happens. And it's also making sure you understand the industry and understanding what the industry needs and the benefits of it. Because a lot of, as people love to say, boomers are coming into the industry that necessarily don't know anything about it, not wanting to know about the culture, understand the culture, and really, let's say, the history of esports and how it's progressed, and then trying to come in, as you said, and just make a quick buck, which we're very known for we're very known for spotting in the esports industry, as you said.
Sure. Yeah. And I do hear of stories of people who do volunteer for many years and they do it unpaid for years and years. And then all of a sudden, when the opportunity arises, those are the people that are situated to take advantage of those, fill those jobs, fill those positions. Like, for example, the author of the book, This is Esports, a caster who talked about his volunteerism as a caster and how much money he spent going from game to game and shoutcasting, and then ultimately became successful. Do you see that in other areas as well?
Yeah, it's very much capable. One, obviously, it's a possibility anywhere, and I think as well, it's about someone that you've had on your show previously as well, Dr. Ryan Terrell. I talk quite a lot with, purely because it's about, as we love to call it in esports, and I think everyone in esports is aware of it, imposter syndrome. In terms of you always think you're not good enough. That's normally not the case. Apply, because at least you're going to get one, you'll get most likely valuable feedback, and it's always another step in the right direction. So the thing about esports as well, that is, let's say, the niche of why and the development of it, a lot of individuals that have the experience won't most likely have a degree because
Mhm.
they've been in the industry for so long. So they might not have a degree, but they'll most likely already be in a very well paid job. Or individuals will have the experience, but because they don't have a degree, won't necessarily want to apply because they're feeling like that's going to be limiting them. So it's very much about really understanding your
Mm.
value, but also wanting to pursue yourself further and really take those, let's say, risks, but calculated risks. Because the esports industry is a very new industry and it's about everyone has experience in various different elements. So don't, in theory, downplay your experience to anyone else's.
You know, what's interesting is every day I get a LinkedIn email that lists all the esports jobs that are available. And I've been surprised at how many there are. Does Esports Academics prepare people to uh, be in esports related jobs?
Yeah, so at the minute, we're very much putting a very hard focus on trying to gain as many, let's say, relationships with industry as possible, because we want to really try and establish that full career pathway from high school into collegiate into college, and also offering internships, apprenticeships, anything like that, because that's how we're going to not only grow the industry, but also have more people interested in the industry. But also, the way in which we're looking at this is we don't want to only benefit the esports industry, because if we can develop individuals and nurture the talent that's available through the learning of through the learning of the esports industry, even those individuals going into, let's say, marketing or events or broadcasting is only going to help. Let's one is only going to help esports in general, because more people get a grasp of the industry and an understanding of it, but it will only help other industries develop and improve as well, because esports is as we know, esports is the new generation. It's
Mhm.
a very young demographic. Um, as there was on a panel I was on before, or a conference I was part of before, it's a changing culture. Um, 30 years ago, let's say, people would have come home, turned on their TV, and been like, "Oh, I'm just going to watch a TV show now." Whereas the changing culture now is, "I'm just going to come home and turn on my PC or turn on my console and play a game." It's a complete, let's say, reshuffle or rejig into an evolution in culture overall.
Sure. And when you look at the demographic of esports, if you're looking at 18 to 25, for example, or even if you stretch that to 30 or even go younger, the bottom line is that that demographic aligns very well with the need for education, because that's the years that people are seeking education. How does that align with what you're doing?
So the way, can you just rephrase that just so I can
Okay,
so
so
maybe understand a bit
I'm
better?
just actually it's pretty general. Like your target market for esports academics aligns very well with
Yeah.
the target market for esports, right? I mean, so it does that inform what you do in this space?
Yeah, so it's, as you said, it's very much in alignment with that. So we focus on the pretty much the age demographic up to a certain age. Really, let's say 22, 23 is to a certain extent where we kind of
Mm.
cut off. But for a bit of statistics in terms of that, in a survey done or a research, basically a research assignment done in 2018, over 90% of teens between the age of 13 and 17 played video games. So, and that's in 2018 without the pandemic and everything else. So it's really utilizing the industry overall to its full potential rather than only half of its potential of what it can do and the benefits it can have for the rest of the world.
Sure, sure. Okay, so what have has the impact of what impact has the pandemic had on what you're doing?
So at the very start, as you can, at the very start, it was very rough in terms of, because every institution, no matter where they were in the globe, were going through that transition of having to go from in-person learning to online learning. So they just had to pretty much completely remake how they were going to be delivering things, which was new to everyone at that point in time. And I think really as the pandemic's gone along, it's one, esports has come more into the eye. It necessarily had, because it's the only traditional sport which has gone on. But really also as the pandemic's gone on, we've seen a lot more increase in terms of interest in working with institutions for the benefit of esports and kind of, let's say, gamifying education overall, because they want to engage in a way that students now understand, and really trying to cater for all. So from my personal perspective, I have special needs, so I try and I would say I think a tiny bit outside of the box to a lot of traditional people in terms of trying to understand things. So it's really trying to cater for all rather than cater for the minimum, and it's trying to actually reduce that technological divide to a certain extent that's available, that is the same pretty much around the world. So that's where we've kind of seen the most impact of working with institutions and developing curriculum for the following for the academic year coming up, and really putting steps into place of what that benefit is associated, and really trying to help administration fully understand.
And so you teach for Mount Royal University in Canada. How do you do that?
Yeah, so I teach remotely from the wonderful place of the UK that always seems to rain. So I teach remotely. So it's actually the first year our course has ran. I think it's part of continuing education at Mount Royal. So there's 3 other instructors other than myself, and it's overview of esports operations, which I teach, esports project management, and effective communication in esports. And by the end of it, it's really one, making sure they understand the career opportunities available, gaining a grasp of project management in the actual setting. One, the first module is actually understanding the industry, and then really how to communicate. And we have a variety of people in that. So some have previously and already work in esports, and then it's so that was our kind of first group. And then our second group, it's a completely different ball game, as they're people in industry that and older individuals that kind of seen the potential of esports and want to get involved and understand it more.
Okay, so we do have to wrap up. How can people contact you if they're interested in esports academics?
So feel free to contact me via email. So georgec@esportsacademics.com. I also am on LinkedIn, so George Cork on LinkedIn. And then also for my Twitter @GDWCork. Those are the main social medias that I use.
All right. Thank you, George. I really appreciate getting to talk with you today.
Thank you so much for your time.
All right. And thank you for joining us today. And make sure to tune in next week. My guest will be Jordan Trebu of Challengers Uprising. See you then.